Okay, so as an example of how to create an array with a loop, I'd like to play around with these four different methods using the array visualizer. So again, I'm going to take my my start code for that, and we're going to rename this create plus, or let's go create loops array visualizer. Okay, and open that up with code. Go to my main.js, array visualizer, we'll call this create with loops, array visualizer, beautiful. Let's run this just to make sure, well, it should be fine. There it is. I like to have my console open just in case something goes bad. All right, so to start off with, let's just start off with creating my array differently instead of putting all those values in. And the basic algorithm for with a loop is always start off with creating an empty array. And then I'm going to loop. And if I want to have identical values for let n be, and you can use any variable name you want. I just like n for number. N is 0, n is less than 50, let's say, n plus plus. And I'm going to go myArray.push, and I'm going to push 300. Okay, so an empty array, loop 50 times, push 300 in it, and hopefully, I've got 50 300s. And of course, we can change this to 100, and it'll loop 100 times, and I'll have 100 values of 300. Or I could just do it 10 times and only have 10 values. Right? So you just control how many elements you want with your loop, and what you push goes in here. Put that back to 50 again. And so this was all identical values, right? So they're all the same element getting pushed into the array, 300. I could also go math.random times 600. So that'll give me 0 to 1 times it by 600 is 0 to 600. And that should give me 50 random values. Right? Maybe I wanted times 300 plus 300. So this should now give me 300 to 600. Or instead of doing this math, I should load my math extensions library in here and use my math.random decimal or random int function. But anyway, this should generate, I think I messed it up. Random value between 0 and 300, and then I should add 300 to that. I can't even think anymore. Anyway, that's why I have a library, right? So I don't have to think about this math anymore. But anyway, the idea here is generating random values, and you can put whatever random values you want. Let's go 300, and hopefully we should see from 0 to 300 random values. Okay, cool. All right, now, what do we want to do? We had random. Let's look at our notes again. So we were pushing identical values. We were pushing random values. Oh, yeah, user input. Okay, so let's ask the user for some numbers. Not 50, because that's going to be annoying. Let's just do 5. And inside of here, I'll go prompt, enter a number, please. Okay, and then I need another end bracket, right? Well, this bracket ends the prompt, and the other bracket ends the push. Okay, so now when I run this, here it is. It's waiting for me. Let's go 200, 300, 400, 500. Oops, 600. 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. So I can enter whatever values I want, and it creates it. I was a little concerned about whether this would work or not. Because remember, the prompt returns a string, but I guess, right, if I were to type out my array, you'll notice it's an array of strings. Now, JavaScript sometimes does conversions for us, so I'm assuming here when we go height minus, it says, hey, you can't subtract strings and numbers, so it converted it to a number for us. And probably the fill rex 2 says, hey, when you give me a string, I'm just going to try to convert that to a number. So JavaScript is kind of taking care of it for us. If we wanted to be safe, though, it would be probably a good idea to do that number method so that once prompt returns, we'll convert it to a number and then push it. So let's go 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. And now if I check my array, it should be an array of numbers. Okay, cool. All right, and what else was there? So that's looping 5 times. If I wanted more, of course, we just change that. And then, oh, a patterned array. Cool. Why don't we do, I don't know what pattern. Let's do a decreasing pattern just for funsies. Let's start at 600 greater than or equal to 0 and decrease by 10? Sure. And again, notice in all of these examples I'm giving you, the algorithm is the same. We have an empty array, and then I loop for a set number of times, and I push things into the array. In this case, I'm going to push n. So 600, and then 580, and then 560, and then 540, 520, 500, all the way down to 0. Actually, let's go greater than 0. So it'll stop at 10. Boop. And let's see what that does. Go back here. There we go, right? And the last value is 10. And it increases by 10 or decreases by 10 each time. All right, cool. So this was just playing around with the array visualizer, but I hope you can see places where this might be useful. Initializing an array with starting values, initializing, maybe you're making a game and you want stuff on your screen in random locations. You can have an array of random X and Y values. Input array, maybe you want input from the user for some program who knows patterns, right? Again, who knows where you might use this, but these skills can come in handy. And the main algorithm, again, is that empty array, looping, and pushing things to it. Okay. In the next video, I'll look at creating an array from a string and from a file. And we'll do an example where we can look at how that can help us or how that works. All right. Hope that made sense. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.